Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Hello. Hello. How are you guys doing today? Well, I hope everyone has been having a great day, productive day. Saturday, guys. And you know what? For those of you who work all week, even if you didn't do anything today, as long as you rested up a bit, that matters too. That can be considered productive as well, because we're not robots. I know there's a lot of you guys that are constantly on go, constantly on go. Hold on. Okay, so I put on my wall earlier today, I shared to my wall the quick little evening live I did a few days ago, which I considered to be the prelude to the live that we're doing now. So I want to have this conversation. I want to have a broader conversation, completely outside of the whole debacle, excuse me, with Meg Thee Stallion and Clay Thompson. Because those are just two people, okay? When there's plenty of people who have experience dealing with somebody, and in this case, we're going to keep it on the men, who have experienced dealing with men or a man who did not see or have an issue with wasting their time. And I consider that to be playing with fire. So I want to talk about it. Ah, spider. Hold on. Okay. So yes, I want to discuss it. And that's what we're going to do. That is what we are going to do. Hopefully people are able to join in. If not, they'll catch the replay if they want to. That's their business, isn't it? I don't know who this random shush person is. It's giving troll, so bless them. Hello, Cloud Dweller. How are you doing? Well, I hope. So let's get started. And I hope y'all like my thumbnail. What Smokey say? Hold on. Go back. Says only you can prevent wildfires. Only you. And one of the ways to prevent that is by not playing with fire, right? Right. We have the ability to prevent certain situations from even happening. I don't understand that, you know, especially as a grown adult. Certain things and behaviors, even if they're not behaviors that we would accept, certain behaviors are expected to come from young girls and young boys, not grown men and not grown women, okay? Let's see. And somebody had an interesting take when it comes to like cheating and whatnot. They said that they don't consider it to be cheating if you are not married. And I thought that was interesting. I thought that was interesting because the way I look at it, it is cheating. Duh. If you are calling yourself being in a quote unquote committed relationship with somebody and you step outside of that relationship, that's cheating. It doesn't matter if you're married or not. Hold on. Most people who decide to get married came to that decision after there was already a understanding how this thing was going to go. Okay? So I find it interesting, which I've heard that take multiple times from multiple different type of people, but I always find it very interesting. And what I should have asked the person, but the conversation was already heated, not in a bad way, because that's another thing people don't understand and don't have the ability to have a discussion. And I always appreciate people that have that ability to have a discussion without it getting going left just because you may have a difference of opinions. So I do appreciate that. And I should have said, okay, so as a married person, because one of the people that has this take, they're married, right? So I should have asked that person, like, okay, so if you found out that your husband or your fiance at the time was cheating on you leading up to your wedding, would you still have gotten married to that person? Would you look at that as a type of betrayal? But anywho, so I look at it like cheating. Everybody's grown. If you don't want to be in a committed relationship, you said no cloud dweller. Hey, you all, man. Thank you for catching up. If you don't want to be in a committed relationship with somebody, then you should say that. And then that way, that person has all the room, all the space to make an educated decision. Now, if they make their educated decision and then they wind up regretting it later, then that's a whole other story. That's on them. You know what I mean? So that's just one thing I was thinking about. I don't subscribe to that. I feel like that's an easy way out and an easy way to give somebody an excuse or a pass to just be living reckless because you haven't walked down the aisle and signed no paper yet, but you're already calling yourself being in a quote unquote committed relationship with that other person. Okay. Hey, SBK. Says B chat. How are you doing? I don't know if you heard my live this morning, but I made sure I shouted you and E out. Y'all did a great job last night. And I was just saying how I appreciate people that have the ability to have a conversation about a topic, and even if they don't agree fully or have certain disagreements, it doesn't need to turn disrespectful or turn into like a thing, you know? So I appreciate that from you guys. So you heard cool beans. Yeah, I appreciate that. And since we're keeping it on men for this go about, I appreciate the type of man that has the ability to speak with conviction about what they're speaking on, about how they feel, their take on it, whoop-de-doo, and not crumble because you don't agree with them or because they don't like the conversation that you are bringing to them. I'll take a man that will speak with conviction, even if I don't agree with them, or even if whatever the case may be. There's someone that will say, um, I'm done with this conversation. I'm done having this conversation. Oh, you are? Well, I wasn't, but okay, sure. So I appreciate that. Hey, Moonlight, good afternoon. How are you doing? Well, I hope. Sometimes folks be on the same page from the giddy up, then one changes their mind without telling the partner. Yes, and then that's where the problems, not only is that where the problem lies, that's where the problem begins, you know? And then one would have to tap into as to why it is that you're not telling your partner that your feelings have changed or your position on how you guys have everything lined up has changed, whatever the case may be. You know what I mean? Are you not telling them that out of fear of something? What is it that you're fearful of? You know what I mean? He says, yeah, we grown folks. I love your takes. Cool beans. Yeah, I look forward to y'all shows Friday evenings. I'm doing awesome. Cool beans. Exactly. I hope the same for you. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thank you. Just waste folks' precious time slash selfishness, in my opinion. Exactly. And I feel like that's where the playing with fire comes into play. You know, everybody is grown. Everyone has the right to make their own decisions. Everyone has the right to feel like this ain't that no more, whatever have you. But I'm big on the principle and I'm big on how you choose to go about things. You know what I mean? Because people go about things in all type of twisted and messed up ways that they don't have to. And then when they get a response that they don't like, now it's, oh, well, it's me. Okay, well, sometimes, well. So, anywho, let's get started. Y'all know I don't be having all the time in the world. So, I don't know if you guys watched, it was a quick video. I don't know if you guys watched the prelude, but hopefully you did. And the right to change your mind is the way it's done. Exactly, exactly. Hold on. And for some of these men, because we're keeping it on the men, for some of these men, they just simply were not. They weren't raised right. They weren't raised right, or if they were raised well, it didn't stick. You know what I mean? Because that's one thing I learned over time. You can't blame someone's parents or whoever raised them up for how they turn out to be completely. Because I've witnessed firsthand a lot of times where a man or a woman comes from a decent family, they were raised up properly, the right things were instilled in them, they had the right examples, and yet and still, they still had to touch that stove, even though they were told it was hot, you know? And you can't blame someone's parents for that all the time because it's really not their fault if it doesn't stick sometimes. Really, most times. Hold on. Hey, Uncle L, good afternoon. Hey, Shelly Shells. Hey, sis. Good afternoon. How are you guys doing? Well, I hope. So that for sure is one thing that I have learned. I don't really subscribe to blaming a man's mom or dad for their behavior as a grown person. So you guys know I like to read from stuff and then we talk about it. And like I said, I want to have a broader conversation, totally outside of the Meg and her debacle with her ex-boyfriend, because they're just two people. We live in a big world. So ah, when I looked up men who play with fire in relationships, even though I have my own idea or rendition as to what that is, it says men playing with fire in relationships often refers to risky behavior such as cheating. I mean, not such as flirting, emotional cheating. Do y'all know what emotional cheating is? Because a lot of times when people hear the word cheating, when it comes to a relationship, they just assume somebody's getting screwed. which duh, but emotional cheating, we can add on regular cheating, um, testing boundaries, right? One could already have set out what their boundaries are with with their partner, the man. The woman can already let the man know what their boundaries are. And a man who likes to play with fire, he's gonna tiptoe all on and around them boundaries that you done set, i.e. testing him, because they want to see what type, they want to see what type time you want. What is it that you really going for? What is it that you're not going for? What are you gonna allow? Because they know or they feel like you care for them oh so deeply. Okay, it says designed to liven up a dull life or boost ego, often leading to emotional burnout. These individuals may seek adrenaline, validation, or an escape from commitment, frequently refusing to take responsibility for the resulting chaos. Cause, effect. You know what I mean? Actions, reactions, right? Okay. Says key aspects of men playing with fire in relationships. Let's see what they talking about. What they got for us. Then I'll check the chat. Says limerence and temptation. I'm gonna go back and look up the word limerence. Limerence and temptation. Men in long-term relationships may use flirting to chase the neurochemical high of early attraction, meaning they want to have that feeling of they still got it, which is why it's very important to affirm your partner, even though there's some you just can't do nothing for. But be sure to affirm your partner, and that may help with avoiding them wanting to chase that high from somebody else. Some you can't do nothing for. That's just a fact. Falsely believing that they can manage the situation without cheating. You playing with fire, right? The second one, and we're just going over some of the key aspects that they listed for us for men who like to play with fire in relationships. The victim mentality. Often these individuals create chaos, hurt their partners, and then act as if they have been wronged when faced with consequences. Okay? Let's check the chat to see if y'all said anything because y'all know I'll be going on tangents. We don't want to do that. Let me see. Let me see. Okay, you guys are greeting each other. Evolve May says, I agree, V. Can't blame parents. You really can't. Now, at times, yes, but then even then, which we did a live on product of your environment and what that means and everything. One can't blame or use as a crutch the plight of how they grew up, what they experienced, what they witnessed, all the good things. They can't use it as a crutch to grow up to be an asshole or a B word, excuse my language, towards other people. That's not cool. That's when you need to go and get some therapy, get some type of help to better yourself. Okay, let's see. I don't know where they met at or how they met, but what I will say was he was fully aware as to what it was he was getting. He got that Carfax, that quote unquote Carfax. And if he wasn't sure, he had a whole team that made sure that he got that Carfax. And yet and still, He decided to still waste time and play with feelings, but we're not even gonna keep it on them. I want to have a broader conversation because this is a real thing outside of them. Hopefully y'all can hear me. I just put my hat on and I have my headphones in. So let me know if I sound muffled or if you can't hear me, please. Okay, let's see. Even her play made me. Yeah, she has to tighten up. She has to tighten up because you can't allow for your livelihood and your bottom line and your reputation as far as your musical career and obligations that you had a contract for and was probably already paid for. You can't put that at risk because you're having a rough go at it with a relationship. That's just counterproductive in a major way. If anything, that would have kept her busy because the idle mind is the devil's playground. Hold. And that's where having a solid team comes into play and a solid support system because they would have told her, no, you need to tighten the F up. Would you say SBK? I never emotionally lead a lady on. Things need to be understood from the jump of what your intentions are. Agreed. Agreed. I totally agree. And then you let that other person make an educated decision as to what it is they want to do moving forward. Duh. Let's see. Oh, you want the spelling? Let me see. I'm gonna definitely look that word up. So limerence, Limerence. And normally when I'm not sure of a word, y'all know I don't have a problem going to go look it up. But I want to just keep it moving. I just want to keep it moving. But depending on the word, that may be one of our words of the day. No more crutch. Yeah, I don't subscribe to that, you know. I don't subscribe to that. You can't use that as a crutch, like I said, or excuse as to why you are operating in the way that you choose to operate to people who did not do nothing to you. You got to find a healthy way to redirect that. They met at a party. I'm not surprised. He was fully aware, and if he wasn't, he had a team, support system, a whole team that fully made him aware. He said, "Well, he's playing here in Texas for the Mavericks, and she's in Houston. That's the connection. Cool beans. And there's plenty of respectable women in Texas that he could have had his pick from, but he made his pick, didn't he? But he didn't keep it a bean, in my opinion. I don't believe he kept it a bean with that girl, that woman. But I also believe in making sure that you are fully tapped in with your discernment. And you know what, SBK, you and E, when I do, because I like to do whether it's a short or a upload, I like to drop some hard truths. And the next hard truth I do, I'm gonna make sure I shout y'all out because y'all did keep it a bean about some things. And with that being said, yes, Carfax. He knew what that body do. He knew how she gave it up. He knew it was good. And instead of just keeping it a bean and telling her like, yeah, we're gonna have some fun with this, because it ain't like he don't know how to have a relationship or a situationship and keep it under the radar. But he knew that she probably wasn't gonna be beat for that. So he did not keep it a bean, in my opinion. I don't know them from a can of paint. But let's get off of them. Yes, or cry in a pillow. Limerence, yes. Yeah, because even if he didn't approach her, once she approached him or sent somebody to send a kite to him, whatever you want to call it, he was with it. You know, he was with it, knowing what she was about or what she presented herself to be about. All of the things. I'm sure he does. And guess what? And I'm sure there's plenty of times where it happened and we are not privy to it because he didn't have a problem letting them know, hey, keep your mouth shut. But for this one, he didn't do that now, did he? Because he's a punk. Oh, Lord. Good afternoon, Run Buddy. Hi, how are you? Well, I hope. He whispered sweet nothings. Heavy on the nothing. Nothing, nothing. And then instead of, I can't stand a man that will cause angst, and instead of just taking it on the chin and doing better moving forward, they got a point to prove. They got a point to make. They got to quote unquote clear their name without clearing their name because he didn't say nothing to clear up nothing. And if you're not going to clear up nothing, I want you to say nothing. Okay? They do little weird stuff like, oh, I'm on a boat. I'm chilling. I'm good. I'm fine. I bet you are good and fine because wasn't nothing done to you, duh. What was done to you, honey? I bet you are on that boat chilling like a villain. I bet, duh, duh. But you didn't clear nothing up, right? Oh, because, yeah, you can't. It was too fast for me for a change of mind. I dig it. And I did another video. It was an upload. It was one of my stroll thoughts. That's something I started to do when I take little strolls and I'm thinking thoughts. And if I'm feeling froggy, I will share those thoughts with you guys and then ask you what your thoughts are on my thoughts. So before this whole little debacle even came to the light or whatever have you, I posed a question. How long do y'all think is long enough for one to court somebody before they ask them to marry them or before they accept that marriage proposal and whoop-de-doo? You know what I mean? I pose a few questions in that one supposed to be question. It'd be like that sometimes. So I definitely dig you on that front, Evolve Man. Definitely. He can't handle Megan. He looked weird. It's just like, and that, and Lord, crazy, 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 crazy. Let me see, you guys. Yeah, my little strolly strolls. I call them stroll thoughts. Where are the questions? Where are Evolve Man? I'm confused. What do you mean? Where are the questions? Okay, so let's continue. Where we at? Where we at? Where we at? Okay, so we were going over key aspects of men playing with fire in relationships. So we already went over limerence and temptation, the victim mentality. Next is unmet needs. Okay, playing with fire often masks deeper issues, with the individual using the high stakes situation to fill a void in their life. Okay, whatever that void may be. And the gag, when one does that, once they figure out a solution to that quote unquote void, they're no longer going to need you to fill that void. Duh, duh. The next one is controlling behavior. Playing with fire can manifest as manipulative, or controlling behavior, such as excessive anger or isolating their partner. Okay? There's some men that do that. They angry all the time. You didn't even necessarily have to do anything. And really the gag is they angry with themselves because they're not trying to be there. They don't want to be there, but they too P word to keep it P. Picture that, being too much of a P word to keep it P and keep it 100. Imagine that. So instead of just keeping it a being and saying, you know what, this ain't that, whoop-de-doo, they're going to steady play with fire, steady stay in that house, steady stay with that woman, and just nitpick about every little thing that's not even a legit thing to nitpick about just because they don't want to be there. Picture that. Isolating their partner. Their partner might have, that woman might have legit people in her circle, all the way up from family, all the way down to friends, that peep game, even if it is from an outside looking in or whatever conversations they have, and will be telling her some real stuff, legit stuff. Obviously, that man ain't trying to have her hear no legit stuff because ain't nothing he talking about valid. He want her to just be down for that ish. So he's going to try to isolate that woman from everybody else that can see what's really good because he knows that if she spends too much time talking or spending time with these people, she going to definitely peep what she should have been peeped. And sometimes it's not even a straight up conversation that will make a woman in a situation like that peep game. It will just be witnessing a proper example, quote unquote example of how a man is supposed to be treating a woman that he wants to be with. And that's down from how his face looks when he's taking a picture, all the way up to how he is when that person, when they're around other people, the faces they make when they think that their partner is not looking or when a partner is not looking, but somebody else peeped it, all the things. Hold on. All the things that as a woman, you must be vigilant about. Duh. Oh, yes, 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 yes. I had asked a couple questions, like I said, in that video. How long do you think people should be dating or courting each other before they get married? First of all, before they even have the chutzpah to propose to somebody, or on the other end of that, accept that proposal. I posed the question of, do you guys believe people should be living with each other before they get married? Because I do. I believe it's very important to see somebody or witness somebody in all their elements, happy, sad, mad, whatever, all the things. Um, yeah, I think I posed a few questions in one video. Okay, let me see. Yeah, really, really. That lie gonna get old soon. And it shows, even as simple as, like I said, nitpicking. You can tell when somebody don't want to, they ain't rocking with you, they don't want to be around you, they don't want to be bothered with you. They're gonna find fault in every little thing you do. Every little thing you do. They're going to find a fault in it and not have no valid reason as to why that is, because the valid reason is no valid reason. The truth is there, but they don't want to let it set them free. So they want to stifle you in the process with they stifling head asses. Mental abuse slash controlling, yeah. And eventually we're going to do a like I discussed, we're going to do a separate live eventually talking about the different types of abuse that exist that are totally outside of someone putting their hands on somebody. You said which video? Let me see. Hopefully it doesn't kick me out. Please hold. Let me see. I think it was an upload. Was it? Let me see. Oh, yes, I did. Just my stroll thoughts. I did that 9 days ago. It was only 8 minutes. So quick replay. Quick listen. So let me see. Hold on. Put that in the chatty chat. I don't believe I did. So yeah, it's only like 8 minutes. Let me see, let me see, let me see. You said, 90 days. A quarter of a year. 3, 6, 9. Yeah, a quarter of a year. I can see that if they are dating or courting each other heavy, I can see that because that has happened before. I can see that. And then I also have said or asked, do you guys believe in long engagements? Because I do. I believe in long engagements. I believe in cohabitating with that person before you get married to them. I do believe that. You said at least, at the minimum. I dig it. Because when you spend long periods of time with somebody and you're connecting with that person, it's not just, oh, you guys are just screwing, you know what I mean? Because anybody can screw, anybody can be screwed. That doesn't mean anything. But actually connecting with one another, learning each other, that's not something that's far-fetched to me. Now, that doesn't mean that if you get engaged in 90 days, that 90 days after that, y'all need to be married. No, I don't agree to that. So I do agree in being engaged for at least a year and cohabitating with each other as well. Because there's a big difference between living with somebody and just having a drawer and some space in a closet, or vice versa, allowing them to have a drawer and some space in a closet. You know what I mean? There's a big difference. Hold on. So SBK said, I'm listening and taking notes, cool beans, while nitpicking, wanting you to make a decision. There's a lot of men. And like I said, most of the things we talk about applies to women as well, but I'm keeping it on the men because I can. That's my prerogative, right? Um, yeah, Evolve May, that's a real thing. Like, okay, there's some men that will pick a full-blown argument, right? Just so they can have an excuse to storm out the house. Full-blown, you know what I mean? Nitpick about any and everything, all whilst not having no solutions. And those of you that have been rocking with me, you either part of the solution or you part of the problem. That's one of the things my dad instilled in us. You're either part of the solution or you part of the problem. Which one is it? you know? Crazy work. Hold on. Listen. That's another thing, Moonlight. Some of these men just be out here with their nose wide open. They act like they ain't never had a piece of something before. Like it's crazy. It's very crazy. So if they come across a woman with that thought process, they wouldn't understand what to do with that. You know what I mean? And a lot of them are so simple-minded. They'll look at that like a sick ass challenge, right? So they're quote unquote comply, and then once they get them draws, they're gonna show their ass, which is sick too, you know? That's why it's very important to remain vigilant and be fully tapped in with your discernment. Okay, and my watch later. Cool beans, thank you, Evolve Man. Can he slash she do it? Right, exactly. And like I said, they don't even know where to begin or end with that. Especially if they know that you have had sex before. So then when you tell them, oh, I am celibate or whatever it is you do, they be like, oh, you didn't have It's like, oh gosh. You can't grow with some people like with basic mentalities. You can't grow with somebody with a basic behind mentality. You really can't. You really cannot. Yes, I do. Watching for mood changes. Yeah, I think it's very important. I think it's very important to remain vigilant, you know, and not that you're looking for an issue or a flaw, but just have the ability so you can have the ability to be able to pick up on it if one arises. I don't even want to say when one arises, because I don't like putting that type of energy out there, but if one arises, you know, you have the ability to pick up on it because you're not constantly viewing people through rose-colored lenses. Okay, hold on. Yes, living with someone is real different. And for some people, they are very old school and traditional, and they totally don't agree with that. But I think it's very important to be fully in the know what it is that you're getting yourself into. Sharing bills, plans, make you look. Yes, you need to know. This is a person that you call yourself wanting to be with for the rest of your life. What's good? What is good? I need to know. I need to see something real quick. I agree, it's vice versa. I was killing you. You killing me, Smalls. You was killing me. You said no redemption. Don't get me started, SB10. Yeah, and that just goes back to we also discussed when it comes to the whole let them theory. Sometimes you gotta really just take a step back, sit back and just let people do what they do without you even saying anything, especially once you already done initially let it be known how you come. And this part is just in friendships in general, friendships, relationships, family, whatever, whoever, anybody that you allow to be privy to what you got going on. right? Once you already set the tone as far as how things are going to go in regards to you, let them. And then after you let them, you take heed, right? And then you decide what you want to do about it. That's all. That's all. Happy I finally came through, V. Put my sword down. Feels good. Great combo. I'm falling out of bushes more often. Cool beans. So this life we live is not a given. And imagine, knock on wood, God forbid, spending your last moment engaging in some counterproductive bullshit for people who truly don't care. And this is just for everybody. Because anybody that cares for you, if they witness or they see you engaging in some counteractive bull crap, they're gonna let you know what's good, what you got going on, what's up, whoopsie doo. They're gonna say something. They're not gonna just sit idly by while it's happening, you know. So yeah, I'm glad you came through too. Cool beans. You gotta let it go, little rump buddy. Let it go, let it go. Let it go. SPK. My business. Tell my business, boy. All right, let's continue. Let's see. Where'd it go? Shakalaka. All right, and then the last, we might not even get through all of this, but that's okay. Y'all catch my drift. Um, the last key aspect that they gave us in regards to men who play with fire in relationships. Where we at? Oh yes, the fuel slash fire dynamic, right? I don't know how I feel about this one, but it says in some cases a man may be the fire that needs the fuel of a partner's attention to feel energized, or he may use stress as fuel to turn a stable relationship into an emotional blaze. And that just circles back to me saying how it is very important to affirm your partner, even if they are the type of man or woman who doesn't quote unquote need affirming or need anything like that. You know what I mean? You still give it to them, okay? Because they're yours to give this to. You know what I mean? They may not need it from the masses or from their peers, but they definitely need it from you, regardless if they verbalize that or not, because they are a human being. Duh. So even if it's something as simple as your man just went and got a haircut or a shape up, it best serve you well to notice these things and then not just notice it, verbalize that you peeped it. You know what I mean? Be sure to do these things. Now, there's some men you just can't do nothing for, but you have to really keep it a beam with yourself as far as are you doing what you're supposed to be doing, what you can be doing fully? Okay. Says consequences and advice. What the hell? Hold on. One of the things they say is shift the focus. Rather than seeking external excitement, experts recommend channeling that energy into fostering intimacy and warmth within the established committed relationship. You know what I mean? That's where communication comes into play. If you can't be vulnerable and communicate openly with your partner, that in itself may be a reason as to why they should not be your partner. And that's for a man or a woman. If you can't say to your man, like, babe, I'm feeling like, God, no more, whatever the case may be, or if they can't say that to you, or feel like, oh, I need to be working, I need to start working out, I need to change the diet, blah, blah, blah. And if your partner can't say, you know what, I got you, we're going to meal prep, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, there's a problem. There's a major problem. And that's an underlying problem, which makes it so much easy for somebody to play with fire. Because once again, avoid. Try not to leave any voids in your relationships if you can. And not even necessarily ego stroking, but if they ego need a little stroking, who's best to do it than you? If that's your man, if that's your woman, you know what I'm saying? Hold on. If your man's barber name is Raul and they just went and got a new haircut or a new shape up, line up, ain't nothing wrong with when they come home or when you peep it, you say, dang, babe, Raul did his thing, didn't he? Well, however, which way you word it. You know what I mean? It can't hurt. I agree. Red flag if needing extra or extreme ego stroking. Hell yeah. It don't gotta be, to the max. But I definitely encourage and subscribe to affirming your partner. If they have something they're passionate about, show an interest in it. Even if you don't have a full understanding, let that be a bonding experience. Let them learn you something, you know? It can't hurt. Continued communication is key. I think so. Because closed mouth don't get fed. And that goes both ways for the person who may feel a little timid for whatever reason to just straight up and prompt certain conversation. What's good with you? What you got going on? What is wrong? What is it that you need? You know, as well as the person who's on the other end of that, opening their mouth, regardless if it's prompted or not. If it's prompted, boom, then I open the door. Yeah, this, that, and the third, whoopty doo, blah, blah, blah. Or that other person, just straight up letting it be known what they got going on without it being prompted. You know what I'm saying? For real, for real. Hey, I said what I said. How are you? Good afternoon. Thank you for coming. How are you doing? Well, I hope. That was on the part of a fire to the fuel, the extra. You know what I mean? It's like we have to, and that just goes and circles back to knowing your partner too. Some people just need the extras. Some people really need the extras, and it just is what it is, you know? And then the question is, do you have the ability to provide the extras that is needed from them? And like I talked about yesterday, I really enjoy Jerry Flowers Jr., his content, because when did we discuss that? I think it was last night. I did a quick little something something. We just talked about how sometimes it's not a personal thing, it's a capacity issue. You know what I mean? So for example, if you have the type of man that just needs the extras, because that's their personality, whatever, do you have the capacity to provide that? You know what I mean? And if you don't, you don't. You need to go and get somebody that does. Or if he feels like you're not providing what it is that he needs to have the ability to open his mouth and say something rather than allowing you to feel like everything is bubblegum and ice cream while he over yonder with Cheryl and them. Because this men not operate in that way. And then when Ish hits the fan and they get chin checked, now it's, oh, woe is me. And I just cannot respect that. You could have been said you wanted to be over there with Cheryl and them. And I would have been like, bet. If it can't be worked out or sorted out. The fudge. And that's just real talk. So I am great, sis. How are you? I'm doing well. Today's been a busy day, but that's okay. Sometimes busy is good. That's what I have learned. It's all about how you choose to look at it, right? Because there's a lot of people in this world that just don't have absolutely nothing going on. I think I'll take the busy. Busy, busy, busy. Okay, let's see. There's so much more to talk about. I wish I had the time. But another thing I looked up, it says men waste women's time by engaging in emotional fence sitting, failing to commit, or acting as placeholders while avoiding hard conversations. Okay. This behavior often stems from an inability to let go of comfort, because, like we talked about before, like I talked about before, a man or a person who is not used to being held to account by a woman or by somebody, when they come across the type of woman or person who does hold them to account, they buckle. They don't know what to do. They take it as an attack. Okay. Avoiding uncomfortable truths or simply a lack of shared long-term intentions. That's why conversations matter, and keeping it a being matters even more. Okay, for sure, in my opinion. This was a good conversation, and I wanted to broaden it up a bit. I wanted to broaden it up a bit. Lack of clear intentions. A man may not be clear about his desires, allowing a woman to hope for more while he is content with the status quo. Okay? That's playing with fire. That is playing with fire. And like I said, imagine being, as a man, being too much of a P word to keep it P. Imagine that. Definitely could have made an agreement so everybody can be fully aware of what's going on exactly, and then make an educated decision on if they with the ish or not. That's all. And like I said, if they act like, or if they say they with the ish and then have a change of heart or change of mind, that's on them. That's not on you as the man. Okay, that's why I said educated decision. Be out here pump faking. Be out here completely pump faking. The placeholder scenario. I don't respect men like this. And I don't care what your reasoning is. You're weak. Okay? At least in V's eyes. Hold on. Let's see. Where we at? And then we're going to get out of here. The placeholder scenario. Some men enjoy a woman's companionship, intimacy, and care without intending to commit long term, right? They want to enjoy the fruits, but they don't want to do the labor, okay? Often until they find someone they view as a better match. Women need to be fully tapped in with their discernment, okay? Or else you're going to be out here doing things for undeserving men who are ungrateful and don't appreciate what it is that you are doing for them. How are you giving it up for them? All of the things, right? And you're going to be left with egg on your face when they do all the things you would have liked for them to do for you, for sure. So you better be sure. You better be fully tapped into that discernment and be vigilant. Because that placeholder scenario is real. And it doesn't matter if you are um, Tracy down the block, okay? Just a degular chick. Or if you are Jane that was in that movie that just came out. Anybody can get it. And that's for another thing where people get misconstrued. They want to separate and accept behaviors from certain people because of the type of money they got. Nah, man. Nah. I don't care how much money you got or how much money the person got. That shouldn't matter. How you want to be treated, period. And if you don't want somebody to chin check you in reaction to what it is you done did, how about you just don't do it? How about that? Pay attention to what they do, not what they say. Yeah, words, 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 words. What them actions do? What them actions do? Anywho, I'm out of here. Thank y'all for coming. Bye.